Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about bad fuels, water in the fuel, and fuel that's cloudy. Basically the problem that all people in small engine repair deal with on a regular basis. Whether it's your mower you're dealing with or whether you're working on a customer's mower, you end up with moisture in the fuel more times than not, or a bunch of debris in the fuel. Got a sample here of stuff that I pulled from the back from just a variety of different pieces of equipment. And it's got water at the bottom and quite a bit of debris. Steel Camel has sent me a filter that works a little bit differently than anything out there. I was not compensated in any way other than them sending this, but we're going to test this out and see how it actually works. What they say is that it's got this desiccant in it that basically bonds to the water and removes it from the fuel. Now that's way different than any treatment or anything out there, because most treatments just try to break up that water and mix it back throughout the fuel. That way you can burn it. This is different because it removes it. It actually swells up in this powder, or in the case of the filter, they have a layer that it bonds to, and it chemically removes the water from the fuel. That is great. If it works perfect, it'll be great for your zero turn or your riding mower if you've got bad fuel in it and you need to filter all that out. Or it's great for a small engine repair mechanic because you can reuse that old fuel that you pull from different things. Be great for people in the boating industry or anywhere that you're going to get moisture in the fuel, which is pretty much anywhere out there. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons as we go along if you enjoy the content. Us small engine repair mechanics deal with this a lot because almost everything is fuel related when it comes to a running issue. I'd say at least 80%, if not 90% of what comes in with a running issue is something to do with the fuel. It's been sitting too long, it's degraded, whatever it is. Most of them have some sort of water or moisture in it though. So I've got this fuel that we pulled from the back, just from the jugs that we have. And you can see just kind of at the bottom that there is a layer of a bunch of debris and moisture in it. So I'm going to give this a good mix real quick, just to get some of that stuff kind of in it, as it is with most things you work on. It's kind of mixed up as opposed to being separated out as it's been overnight. Let's pour some of this in our clear jar. That still isn't even quite mixed up. I've got almost all the water still on the bottom. Give that one more good mix. And this is usually what we see when we go to pump something out of a riding mower. We see this stuff that is just extremely cloudy. Oh, spilled it right all over the place, so that's good. So it's extremely cloudy. Let's see. Guess that's not going to show us much with that. It's not quite separating out. The water isn't right now. But I'm going to keep this as just a tester, just to show the difference from once we filter this through this media. What we're going to do is we're going to hook up a pump, just a fuel pump, and we're going to pull from this through, and we're going to let it run for right about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. And we're going to see what happens to this fuel to see if it takes the water, the moisture out of there. We can see it's kind of separating to the bottom a little bit already out of this little container. The water will start to pool down there. I did have to get this all primed up. I've got another sample of the fuel here just for a good control. And we've got a 12-volt pump that does anywhere from 2 to 4 gallons a minute that's going to filter this. And basically what we're going to do from here, we're going to pull all the way from the bottom. If you want to see me prime it, see the end of the video. Pull all the way from the bottom. And it's going to go through the pump, through the filter media, out, or I'm sorry, through the filter. It's going to be pumped through, back out to the pump. And then we're going to go right to the top back here and allow it to drop in. When we do that, any of the bad fuel or anything with water still in it will fall to the bottom because it's heavier. So that's how you want to do it. And while we do this, we will play with the desiccant material and see exactly how that works. Let's make sure this is pumping good. Didn't want to quite pump up before. Here we go. All right, had some nasty stuff right at the beginning. Again, we'll let this run and let's test and play with that and see exactly how this is working as it's going. This is the desiccant material that chemically bonds to the water. They say to see how it works, just add it to some water. So I've got right about 5 ounces here. And what this is it's actually infused into the layers and the pleats of the filter. That's how they say it works. So as the fuel passes through, it actually bonds into this layer, and this layer will swell up as that moisture attracts to it, and it'll eventually pinch off flow. And that's how you're gonna know when you need to replace the filter, is when the flow slows. Let's add this to the water. Again, I've got maybe 4 or 5 ounces here. Dump that all in. Wow. As we're going around, it's all but disappeared. The water has. It's not fluid anymore. That's pretty crazy. That water has completely disappeared. See? Yeah, so where it was water before, I mean, this isn't, my hands aren't even wet. This is completely dry. It's almost like a gel now. But it's not, like my hands aren't wet. They're just completely dry. That is pretty crazy. We're right about 12 minutes. I'm gonna take another fuel sample here. Wow. It's crazy. It is, at least so far as I can tell, completely clear, free of moisture. There could still be some in there. Let's not rule that out yet. Just gonna get me a nice full jar. Clear as can possibly be. Still see the water in the bottom of this one. I'm gonna cap that off and we'll finish up the process. It may actually already be done. We just want to leave it in there long enough that we're ensured that everything is out of it. Just gonna see if I could get any of this moisture out and onto a piece of paper towel. Not one bit is it wet anywhere. It's absorbed into that. Looks like some kid's experiment there. Now let's put, I'm gonna put just a little bit of water in the material. It's quite a bit of water actually. Say for this, use about a teaspoon. That was well over, but see what happens after a minute. You can almost see it's kind of swelling. Starting to feel not wet. Just got a little bit of that stuff on my fingers. Looks like maybe it's swelled up some on the inside. It's definitely not feeling wet anymore. Still kind of looks wet. Very weird. So it's kind of infused into that layer. See if I can squeeze any of that water out. Oop, I still get some out. No, it looks like I did. Looked like it was going to come out, but no water is actually coming out of that. Huh. It's interesting the way this stuff works. It takes a little bit to kind of dry out, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of gelled into that layer now, just like it was with the powder. It's all completely dry. Oh, see, there we go. See, before it looked like there was going to be some water to come out when I was kind of squeezing the end. Oh, it still does. Oh, there it is. There's that same gel that we had before. So that's what it's doing. It's reacting with that gel. And that feels exactly the same as the other stuff does. It's not wet at all, which is very weird. Interesting technology. Let's see how we're sitting with the rest of it over there. We have been running this right at 25 minutes now. Gonna disconnect everything. With as clear as it was at 12 minutes, I assume it's even clearer now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shake it up real good, kind of like we did before. Make sure if there's any water at the bottom or anything, that all gets in here. See exactly how we did. I'd say we're extremely clear, but almost still looked cloudy for a second. I wonder if it's just the bubbles I had in it. Let me let it sit. As I'm looking right down in the container, doesn't look quite completely clear yet. Still looks like we've got some moisture in it. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to see if anything gathers at the bottom or if there's actually any moisture in it. It's actually looking clearer and clearer as it sits. But I'm going to run this for just a little bit longer. I say sometimes with these, when you, depending on what additives and stuff it has, some fuels are going to take longer than others. I thought 25 minutes was probably going to be plenty of time though. Flip this around. As I was thinking about this, I realized that I didn't really put my hose in the bottom of the container, so I kind of tipped this up just on that cap, so any of the water or moisture that is separated out will flow to the bottom, and that's where I'm picking up from. That was likely the fatal flaw in why the water wasn't completely removed prior to now. Take this off. Been right about 35 minutes total, letting this run through. And again, I think some of it may have been that I wasn't low enough in the container. It's always going to be better to get lower. And we saw just after a few minutes taking it right out of the filter, probably the stuff that was circulated a lot didn't have hardly any water in it at all. Now that is 100% clean, clear, no water. Actually don't have any debris in it, which is kind of surprising considering there was quite a bit in it before. Amazing. To me, I'd say that worked pretty darn good. When we start off with something like this as an original with a bunch of water in the bottom of it, and then we turn out with the final product, something like this. I'll get some close-ups of these coming right up. And then I actually went to the back while we were waiting on that to happen, and I pulled a generator that's got some horrible, horrible fuel in it. It's dark amber and it's full of moisture. I'm going to do the same test with that one and see just what it produces. Repeating it and making sure that everything's going to work like it should, which shows pretty easily here. The 12-minute mark, as we were just pumping it out, it's just as clear as that final one was. But again, I don't think I was getting all the way to the bottom, so I think there was still a little bit of moisture sitting on the bottom for this like 25-minute test. It's just not quite as clear as it should be. And I mixed it up though, so I'm positive that that's what we did. We missed some off the bottom, and really that's extremely clear too, but there are a few water droplets that, again, I think were just sitting on the bottom and weren't able to pick up and suspend in that material until I kind of angled that. It could be prohibitive depending on the type of the tank, but really we want all that to mix up through so we can suspend and catch it. If it's just sitting on the bottom and you can't get all the way to the bottom, this is not going to work as well in that application for you. They do sell like socks and stuff that you put down in the tank that may get to the bottom a little bit better with this same technology, so that may work. Again, depending on the application and what you're using it on. Say this generator here, I'm actually going to pull from the bottom of the tank and cycle it back through that way. I think that's going to be better because that moisture is going to be sitting on the bottom already, and I don't think it'll take hardly any time to do it. This, I can guarantee you from what I'm seeing, this is going to be something we are going to start to use, and it'll be able to get us fuel for our work truck or for whatever we'd like to use it in. I'm not going to use this in small engines. We always use Aspen for almost everything, or ethanol free, and treat it. But something that will keep us from having to pay a bunch for Safety-Kleen to take it away if it's bad, that, or keep from having to give as much away to the other guy who he kind of does his own re-refinement process and makes it good again so he can run in his truck. But we're giving him probably 400 or 500 gallons of fuel every year. That's something that we can use, and that'll save us tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Now, that fuel filter does only hold about 15 ounces of water before it starts to swell up, and you'll get water or you'll get restricted flow when you know you need to change it. The big thing is you should never really get to that 15-ounce mark for a very long time. If you let the gas settle where all the water is all the way on the bottom, and you pour off the top or you pull off the top and just leave that bottom water layer so you don't have to suspend it up into that fuel and catch it like we will in our tanks, then you really should hardly have any water even in a 5-gallon container. I mean, you're maybe a quarter of an ounce, if that. That filter should last you for a couple hundred gallons if you're doing it that way. Again, depending on what the application and exactly what you're using it for. But as we do it with small engines, it's going to work great for us. And those filters, yes, they are a little bit pricey. Those are, I think, $53. But hundreds of gallons of fuel will be able to be reclaimed and reused using that one filter. It's a win-win in my opinion. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed the content. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to see the priming and the fuel change on the Generac. And then I'm also going to, I've got one can of fuel up here, or one jar of fuel. It's got so much water in it. This is from a previous video on a Toro. I'm going to just run this through straight. And I think I'll actually do that before I go to the Generac video and see how that changes so quickly. Run it right through, and I'm going to run it right back into this jar. It should only take a couple minutes at that jar to clear all that out. See exactly how it does. After shaking that up, even with a bunch of it in the fuel on top, you can still see that bottom layer. I mean, we're probably good 3 or 4 ounces at the very least of water in there. And that's just horrible. Let's see here. Almost hooked up that, almost hooked up the positive before getting everything in there. And we will have some good fuel obviously still in it. It does have to be primed. But let's see what happens and how long this actually takes to pull that out. It's looking clear already. I don't even see the water separation in there now. Getting clearer and clearer by the second. Look at that. And that's great gas again. Let it run for just a hair longer, but I think we're actually already done. I don't know how long that was. What, maybe a minute, if that? Clear as can be. I don't see any water separating out of it. This would have been great for that job where I was trying to clean out that tank instead of actually removing the tank completely and cleaning it, as you guys saw in that video. If I would have used something like this, as long as I could have got to the bottom and got that water suspended, it would have worked perfectly. Well, we're still going to have a little water on the top of the lid. I was going to put that back on and shake it up. But I mean, there is nothing left in there at all. That is completely clear. Great gas. Got a lid off another one over here. I just wanted to shake it up and kind of show you it wasn't cloudy or anything. Completely clear. It's amazing. Nothing separating out at the bottom. Not a sign of any moisture in just that short period. Here we're just going to take the fuel line going off right at the carb. It comes out of the tank and goes to a hose and then over to a shutoff that's built into the on-off switch. But this fuel is horrible, or at least looks that way from the top. Let's take off the fuel line and see what it looks like going into a jar. Oh boy. This one might have too much water in it. Wow. I'd say that's about as much water already as we pulled out of that other one. Wow. Pretty amazing how much water we have in it. There's more water than gas. So far, anyway. Looks like it might be. No. Thought maybe it was getting better, but it's not. It's pretty slow flow. Let me see if I can move this selector around and get us any better flow. Nope, I'm sure the filter's pretty clogged. Looks like it's all rusted up and stuff. We'll get us a good amount and then we'll hook it up to the pump. Does look like this is maybe some of the worst of it. Possibly I will wonder if maybe I should get a jar after that first jar, because that's going to be where most of the water is going to be sitting. It's right there on the bottom. Either way, it's still pretty nasty stuff. I'm going to turn it off real quick and we'll grab a mid jar too. So that was really bad sitting all the way on the bottom. Let's get something that's a little bit more indicative of what the rest of the tank looks like. I don't think this one's looking any better. Yeah, it's not quite as much water. Still quite a bit though. See the line right about here. Definitely getting a little bit better, but what we're going to do, I'm going to get just a little bit more. I have a good sample. I'll turn this off. And I'm going to run from the bottom here through the filter. It's going to hook me up to the intake. And on the other side, we're going to go right up top back into the tank. And a little bit of an extension. There we go. I had to turn it on, of course. And there we come. We're going to give that, being about a 6-gallon tank, I'm going to give that quite a while to circulate back and forth. We'll test it here maybe in about half an hour and see exactly what it looks like. We've been going for right at 15 minutes here. I moved everything up to the table so it wasn't down so far on the spool. It didn't have as hard to work. Let's see what we have. I've also kind of tipped it this way so all the water gathers down here. And then when I put the line in, I put it so it goes to the top edge. It's 15 minutes. And wow, see the difference. I see no water so far. Still kind of that amber color. Not one bit of water in it. I'm gonna let this run still for about another 15, but I honestly, with all of the water coming to the bottom side and everything, I think it's probably already good to go. That looks pretty stinking good. Right at half an hour of running. That's just an amazing difference from start to finish. See those a little bit closer up here. Well, that is extremely crazy that we went from that much water, which if it's shaken up, looks like this, to this. I mean, that looks like, oh, I don't even know what to call it. And this is just nice, clear gas. If I was going to run something that was this dark, I would probably still mix it in with something that was a little bit better instead, just because you don't know how degraded it is and what octane level actually sits at. But there's that other one. Still, that was the second sample I took out of it. And it's kind of the same thing. After 15 minutes, it was pretty much all the way done already. I don't see... Now those go right back to clear instantly. I don't see any moisture in either one of them. And these are just insane. That's a lot of moisture. And it was the same thing with the other one that we filtered out from that other mower that we had. It disappeared when we went right back to the jar almost instantly. They say you don't want a high flow rate on this because you want to give it some time to actually interact and to chemically bond to that desiccant. However you say that anyway. New word for me here within the last few days. This works great though. It is something that going forward we are going to use to try to salvage some of the fuel we have. I would not recommend putting your 2-cycle stuff in the same container and trying to do it that way because you're still going to be burning all that oil through your car or wherever you're using it at. Keep your 4-cycle and your 2-cycle fuel separate and try to pour off the top so you do away with a lot of this water at the bottom so your filter lasts longer. You don't want to go through those filters real fast, but if you pour it into a 5-gallon container or even a 55-gallon drum and you pull it off the top, when you get to that bottom, all it's going to be is water and bad fuel. You could do away with that fairly easily without ever having to go through that filter and have it cost you a bunch of money. Now, I said it was going to save tens of thousands of dollars. I wasn't talking about in 1 year or anything like that. We only save about 500 gallons a year, but you're talking $1,500 maybe. That is a lot of money, and we'd probably only go through a couple of those filters, especially if we did it right, where we poured most of the water off, so the only water we were pulling out of the fuel was what is actually suspended or inside that top fuel. No brainer to me. We're going to use it going forward and it's going to save us a ton of money. I don't think we'll have any issues doing that. Again, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Thanks guys for watching and have a great rest of your day once again. I did take one more sample jar as a control. I've got the pump and everything hooked up. This is just a regular fuel pump that they use on many different small engines, golf carts, and different things like that. It only does anywhere from 2 to 4 gallons a minute. And what we're going to do is we're going to, this hose coming off the right side of the filter is all the way at the bottom of the container. So it's going to pull off the bottom. It's going to pull it through the filter material in this screw-on filter. It's going to go through the pump and then back in, and I've got it kind of hooked up at the top side to where the good gas drips back in at the top. The bad fuel, if there's anything still in it, will fall right back down to the bottom again. Sometimes it's going to take numerous passes through this filter media because it needs time for that chemical reaction. Depending on what kind of additives are in the fuel, fuel is a lot more refined than some other things they use this same type of technology for, where like diesel, it pulls it out pretty quickly. We're going to let this run for probably, again, about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we're going to see what the fuel looks like again. I've got just the one for control over here. Another one I pulled out, and all we do with this filter is just hook it up to 12 volts. In the meantime, we're going to play with this Desiccant material and figure out exactly how it works. Let's make sure we're getting something coming out once the filter fills up. Doesn't look like my pump is wanting to pull enough fuel to get it started. May have to prime this. Let's get this all primed up.